Good morning, y'all. Look, sunshine on my shoulder makes me happy. So, after the hurricane, yeah, uh, I hear you, buddy. Buddy wants to go out. It's early, 7, 7 in the morning, and it's Thursday, and this whole hurricane in the desert thing. Here's what I know. I lived inland in North Carolina most of my life, and about 300 miles inland. And hurricanes would come, and the news, oh my goodness, would promote the hurricane. Sometimes out in the ocean, it'd look as big as the whole state. And so I learned early on to be afraid. That was their goal. Um, Now, we did hurricane preparation. I did not have to board up my windows or put sandbags out, but I needed to make sure I had enough water and that things were secured because the hurricanes back then had wind. That was what made them a hurricane. Now, it appears that the hurricanes don't have a whole lot of wind, but they have all this rain. Now, I can't name y'all the hurricanes. The one that comes to mind is Hugo, and it tore up Charleston, South Carolina, made landfall there, and then came up directly over top of us, uprooted trees, um, caused all kinds of damage, took out the power. So now you're sitting in the dark. So another reason or another thing you had to prepare for was no electricity. Now, here in the desert, it turns out I don't have to worry about those things. And the hurricane that went through, even though I was prepared for tremendous wind, because as you know, earlier in the monsoon season, I had been kind of struck by surprise at the wind as it shook the tiny, nearly tore out my swamp cooler and tore things up and threw my stuff across the desert. So after that video, a friend of ours, one of my subscribers, had said, I can't be there to help you. Knew my dilemma, that all my belongings are sitting out in the desert and where wind and rain and all that stuff could possibly damage what little I did have. So, now, after that storm, and as I was discussing with y'all, I really didn't know what to do. I kept thinking maybe a building, and then there would be get the building, build the building, secure the building, and then put everything in it. That was one of the things. The other thing was I looked locally for a storage, and there was one, but it was they didn't have a little building, so I would have to rent the bigger one, and I would not have 24-hour access. I would only have access when the store was opened. And so they said, well, maybe Aho. Well, Aho is 10 miles away, and I don't want to store my emergency supplies 10 miles away. It would take me 2 days to walk 10 miles. Because, well, I'm a yaya now. And I'm feeling the full effect. So, so I kind of crossed that off. And there was a day as I was mulling this over and trying to figure out what to do. And I was driving through Aho and I saw a camper sitting on a trailer that was for sale, and I thought, maybe that's the idea. Because, I was wanting to make my truck. You remember way back when I put a bed in my truck in the back seat so I could sleep in my truck if I had to or wanted to. And so I thought, well, the camper will solve that problem. I would have storage and I would have somewhere to sleep. So we went on the look. And Bob is real good at researching stuff like that. So he was looking all over the internet to see what kind of camper shell or campers I could get and used. It's okay, buddy. Something's outside. Probably a rabbit. They're everywhere right now. Their little holes got all plugged up with sand and dirt. So anyway, so Bob's researching, and I have a six foot bed on my pickup truck, extended cab, which was awesome. Gave me the back seat for storage, but only so much storage. And then, but it's 6 foot bed, and the most common pickup truck beds are 8 foot. So there were all kinds of campers out there used, reasonably priced, that I could have, but it would have been 8 foot, which means, and it's going to hang over the edge, and it's going to hang over the back. I didn't. That's too much for me. And it's too much for my truck. Okay, it's a 1500, is what it says. Now, for you ladies out there, or most of you, are like me, I'm like, what does that mean? It's to do with really how much I can hold and pull and all that. So the tiny was always okay. And I don't know if it's half a ton, I think, or quarter, maybe. I don't know how much a ton is. I don't remember those numbers. So anyway, I didn't want one hanging over the edge or hanging off the back of my truck. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not in a hurry. Well, I'm kind of in a hurry to get my stuff out of the desert. So that was, and so anyway, in that process, Bob found this place in California that custom builds camper shells. Nice. So it doesn't hang over the edge, and it doesn't hang over the back. Now, so our friend, not knowing any of this, just wanted to help me. So turns out that was the perfect solution. And so we made arrangements, and it took nearly 8 weeks, because you got to get in line to get this thing built, and you're going to get to see the results. And you may have seen little pieces of it. I can't remember if you've seen my truck since it's got fixed, but anyway, there was ordering it. Then it came in Labor Day weekend, and so which was Feast of Trumpets. So anyway, Bob has Messianics that he likes to spend the holidays with, so it worked out perfect that we're near there, wherever it was. It was somewhere in California, near San Diego, maybe. Long way. And so, so that's how I spent the gift. Was I got a custom-made camper, and of course I had to pay for the gas, which was got to get there, and then the return trip, and then have gas for the month. So, so it all worked out. I was able to pay for it, and Bob graciously went and took my truck without a radio, with no air conditioner, and drove all that way. And when he returned, he had gifted me with a couple of things. I'll show you that later. But one of the things, it took me 3 days to notice, because once the truck got here, I was like, oh, it looks so different. I'm afraid to drive it. So I didn't even get in it. I was doing other stuff, still trying to... Okay, so what ended up happening, I had everything in the back of my truck. So before Bob left, we unloaded all of the stuff in my truck. We had to take the shell off. We had to take the liner out and the tailgate off. So that was a lot of work. And then we put all of my stuff in the back of his truck. And then he took my truck, empty, with no radio, and returned with a with a Walmart radio. But whoa, buddy, it worked awesome. Of course, I didn't notice it until I went to put my phone in that little empty hole that used to be there. I was like, what is that? It was a radio, and it's got Bluetooth, so I can actually use my Pilgrim Radio app, which I love. It's my favorite radio because we can get two radio stations here. One is odd, and the other one is rock and roll. And as much as I love the 70s rock and roll, it does not put me in a good state of mind. I get kind of, oh, what's that word? You know, you kind of think back on those times and remember your life in the 70s. And for those of you who experienced the 70s, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we did have the best music. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. The 70s were awesome. And of course, yes, we have to kind of put a cut mark there where all the disco started coming out. But, you know, I was a young girl in the 70s and I loved to dance. So disco was great, but not so much now. So anyway, so I have this awesome radio that has a Bluetooth and it actually works when I'm talking on the phone. I feel so modern and hip. It's amazing. So anyway, got that. And then I have spent the last few weeks downsizing all of my bins so that I didn't have so many. As you'll see in the upcoming video, maybe, I don't know how I'm going to do this. If I attach it, we're going to have a 30-minute video. Whoo, boy. Well, maybe I should. We'll just risk it and see what happens. So anyway, I downsized the bins. I went from at least 15 bins of stuff. And I either threw away or gave away or am also got some things I'm going to mail to daughters. I have 9 bins. And 2 of those bins will be one on either side of where my bed's going to be because this was a custom built camper shell. It has windows that slide open with screens on them on either side. It has storage space over the cab. Now, what you might know with campers, a lot of times people are sleeping up there. There's not enough room. But the bins fit perfect. So I've got 2 bins down here, 7 bins up top, which have fabrics, things I just can't get rid of. I'm sorry. They're my little things I look through. There's 2 bins, and I look through, and it's got things I've had or made or were given to me. I've got my grandmother's shawl, one of them that she knit. Probably in the 40s or 50s. So they're just those things that about once a year I open it up, I look through all the pretties and I'm like, and I remember the people and the places and it, it's just that. So memorabilia. So anyway, the 2 that sit on the floor have emergency food supplies. And I have, over the last 5 years, kind of cycled out things like rice and beans and large containers of things, long-term storage things. It's not a lot, but it would get me through, the first month of if there's no food in the grocery store. Coffee. There's coffee. And there's coffee beans, and there's a coffee grinder in there. Just a little one. Because everything I get nowadays. Just a little one. So, anyway, so there's 2 of those. And then there's these baskets that I found at the Family Dollar store. And they're perfect size. And they're open, of course. And I'm going to build shelves where I can put those baskets. But also in the video, you will see where they also fit up there where it's storage. And those will hold things. Right now, my boots and extra shoes. Because I've got like 4 pair. You know, there's my go to church shoes that I got from my mama. They're little Skechers. And then there's warm boots that I bought like 5 or 7 years ago. They were, and then there's a basket of, I don't know what to do with it stuff. And then there's a basket that, I mean, there's bunches of them, and eventually they will hold my clothes when I'm traveling, and I hope to travel in the spring to see my grandbabies. I hope. Because it's like 2,300 miles, and it would just be my truck. I wouldn't have to tow anything because I am still saving and almost there for the year's rent so I can leave the tiny here. And I know a lot of you think, why in the world would this woman want to stay in the desert? Because I can afford it, because they'll let me, because my trailer is old, and there are campgrounds that don't even want you in there because I look so old. Sorry about that. But anyway, it's a relatively safe place. Now, back to the hurricane. No, there was not an actual hurricane in the desert, but there was flooding. And there was wind after the flooding. And I was prepared for all of that because, thank you, my friend, I had a place to keep all my stuff safe and dry. And I had enough warning, and I've been through enough possible hurricanes to know secure things. Make sure everything's put away as best you can, and go with that. So, okay. Next video, because I'm not gonna try to attach all this together. So stay tuned. It's coming. I'm gonna do that. I wanted to do this while there's no fans blowing, and the temperatures have cooled down. And for the most part, I don't have to worry about fans, especially in the night. It got down in the 60s, and it's only, wow, it's only like 75 right now. Oh, it feels amazing. I had to put on a sweater to take Buddy out. Brr. So, why am I here and why? Because October, November, December, January, February, March. Last year, it's almost my 1 year anniversary. I got here December 17th, and it was a beautiful, easy, relatively easy winter compared to where I was at in the mountains of Virginia. So, I'm happy to be here, and the season coming up is, I'm looking forward to it to a great degree, and I'll own up to, I've kind of gotten, I'm so bad. I've gotten used to, there's only like a dozen of us here. And pretty soon, there's going to be more. Lots more. On people on, what's them little 4-wheeler things? Running around, and the Blue Boy Parade, and sitting out in the yard, and I'm on the corner. I'm on the corner. In the Casa, let's see, what did I call myself? The Casa de Agua Viva. So it's kind of like, for those who read Spanish, it's an open invitation, or when they read it, they will think, that woman's nuts. Actually, some of them might be watching the video just to see what's happening. So anyway, there's a, 20-minute update. Wow. Long video. So, with all the less fans, and maybe I will be better at getting on here. No emergencies. I look forward to that, where every day isn't an emergency. So, look, I've talked so long the sun moved. Well, it did move, but, that's my window, but it's already gone up. It ain't on my shoulder anymore. So, I love y'all.